Stop cutting your daily coffee. Seriously, the financial gurus who told you that skipping a $5 latte would make you a millionaire, they lied. The math doesn't even come close. And that advice isn't just wrong, it's keeping you broke by making you focus on the one thing that barely matters. That idea comes from a book called Just Keep Buying by Maggiulli, a data analyst and the chief operating officer at Ritholtz Wealth Management, one of the most respected financial advisory firms in America. This book tears apart almost everything you've been told about saving, spending, and building wealth, and replaces it with math. Cold, clean, undeniable math. This video covers every major chapter from the saving half of the book, all 9 lessons. So by the end, you'll have the full picture on how money actually works when you stop listening to guilt-driven advice and start following the numbers. Let's start with the first big lesson, and it's one that flips the entire personal finance conversation on its head. Most money advice begins with the same boring instruction: cut expenses, cancel subscriptions, make your own lunch, live like a monk until you're 65, and then enjoy your life. And look, there's nothing technically wrong with being frugal. But here's the thing. Maggiulli runs the numbers and shows that expense cutting has a hard mathematical floor. You can only cut so much. Your rent has a minimum. Your groceries have a minimum. Your electricity bill doesn't just vanish because you started using candles. But your income? That has no ceiling, none. The upside is literally infinite. Sam learned this the hard way. He was a 31-year-old UX designer earning $85,000 a year. And he was miserable. Not because of his job, but because of his budget. Every Sunday night, he sat at his kitchen table with a spreadsheet, agonizing over where his money went. He canceled his gym membership, downgraded his phone plan, started meal prepping bland chicken and rice 5 days a week. He clawed back about $200 a month, and he felt like a champion for about 3 weeks. Then the frustration crept in. He was tired all the time. He missed going out to eat. He missed having a gym. And the worst part? Those $200 a month barely moved the needle on his savings. It was like trying to fill a swimming pool with a teaspoon. Technically possible, but you'd die of old age before it worked. Now here's where it gets interesting. Maggiulli doesn't just say, earn more. He proves it with actual data. He compares the difficulty of saving $500 a month by slashing expenses versus earning $6,000 more per year through a raise, a side project, or a skill upgrade. The raise requires one change. The cutting requires dozens of daily sacrifices that drain your willpower, your happiness, and your energy. And mathematically, the raise wins every single time. Not because saving is bad, but because the return on energy is wildly, absurdly different. This leads directly into the second lesson, and it's about how much you should actually be saving. Here's a question most people never ask themselves. What percentage of your income should you really be putting away? 10%? 20? 50? The internet will give you 100 different answers, and half of them will make you feel terrible about yourself. But Maggiulli argues that the number doesn't matter nearly as much as the trajectory. If you're early in your career, saving matters a lot because you don't have assets working for you yet. But as your wealth grows, your investment returns start doing the heavy lifting. Your savings rate becomes less and less relevant over time. The goal isn't to save a magical percentage forever. The goal is to save enough now so that your money can eventually replace your effort. Think of it like pushing a boulder up a hill. At the bottom, you're doing all the work. Every dollar you save is a push. Every extra shift, every side hustle, every dollar you don't spend, it's all you, straining against gravity. But once you get that boulder past the peak, gravity takes over. Your investments start compounding, growing, snowballing, and suddenly you barely need to push at all. That's the crossover point. And reaching it as fast as possible is the real game. Sam looked at his checking account one night. $100,000 sitting there. He felt proud, like he'd accomplished something real, but then he read something that made his stomach drop. Inflation had quietly stolen almost $7,000 of purchasing power from that account over the past year. His money was shrinking, just sitting there, slowly evaporating like a puddle on a hot sidewalk. He wasn't saving. He was losing in slow motion. and he hadn't even noticed. But here's the part most people get completely wrong. They think they need to suffer to reach that turning point. Lesson 3 is where Maggiulli does something really unexpected for a finance book. He gives you permission to spend money, and not just on necessities, on nice things, luxury things, things that make your life actually enjoyable. He introduces what he calls the 2x rule. Here's how it works. If you want to buy something expensive, I should say, a $1,000 watch, you buy it. But you also invest $1,000 in income-producing assets at the same time. You match the purchase, dollar for dollar. Sam had been eyeing a new gaming PC for months, $1,400. Every time he opened the browser to buy it, a wave of guilt hit him like a truck. He could hear the voices of every financial influencer he'd ever watched screaming at him. That money should go into your Roth IRA. That's your future you're spending. He closed the tab, again and again and again, until he discovered the 2x rule. He bought the PC, $1,400, and the same day, he set up an automatic transfer of $1,400 into his index fund. Total cost, $2,800, but here's what changed. The guilt vanished completely. Because he wasn't choosing between enjoying his life and building his future. He was doing both at the same time, and it felt incredible. And this is the part nobody talks about. The psychological weight of financial guilt is enormous. People walk around feeling terrible about every purchase, every meal out, every small pleasure. And that guilt doesn't make them richer. It just makes them miserable. The 2x rule eliminates that entirely. You earn the right to spend by investing alongside it. It's not restriction, it's not punishment, it's balance. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what about when I get a raise? Shouldn't I save all of it? And this is where lesson 4 comes in. Maggiulli calls it the 50% rule for lifestyle creep. Lifestyle creep gets a terrible reputation in personal finance circles. Every guru acts like upgrading your apartment after a promotion is some kind of moral failing. Like enjoying your money is a weakness. But Maggiulli pushes back hard on this. He argues that lifestyle creep is not only okay, it's necessary for long-term financial sustainability. You should enjoy the fruits of your labor. The key is proportion. When you get a raise, save exactly half and spend the other half on upgrading your life. A $10,000 raise means $5,000 goes to investments and $5,000 goes to living better. Simple, sustainable, and psychologically brilliant. Can you guess why this works so well? Because it removes the resentment that destroys most financial plans. Sam got promoted. His income jumped from $85,000 to $97,000 a year. His first instinct, drilled into him by years of frugal finance content, was to pretend the raise never happened. Keep living on the old salary, invest the entire difference. And he tried that for 2 months. By month 3, he was burnt out, frustrated, and started impulse buying things he didn't even want just to feel something. The deprivation backfired spectacularly, so he tried the 50% rule instead. Half the raise, about $6,000 a year, went into his brokerage account automatically. The other half, he upgraded his apartment. Better neighborhood, bigger kitchen, natural light pouring through the windows every morning. And here's the thing, he didn't feel guilty about it, not even a little, because the math supported it. He was simultaneously improving his quality of life and accelerating his wealth. That's not irresponsible. That's intelligent design. Stay with me here because this next chapter changes the game when it comes to a question almost everyone asks. Should you go into debt? Lesson 5, tackles debt. And the answer isn't what you'd expect. Maggiulli doesn't take the hardline, all debt is evil approach that most finance books preach. Instead, he separates debt into 2 clean categories. There's debt that builds something, like a mortgage on a property that appreciates, or a student loan for a degree that doubles your income. And there's debt that destroys something, like credit card debt at 22% interest on things that lose value the second you swipe. It's like fire. In a fireplace, fire warms your house, cooks your food, keeps you alive through the winter. In the middle of your living room floor, it burns everything down. The fire didn't change, the context changed. Debt works the exact same way. The instrument is neutral. What matters is where you point it and what it creates. Sam's friend talked him into financing a car he couldn't afford. 8% interest over 5 years. The monthly payment was $463. By the time he paid it off, he'd spent almost $28,000 on a car that was worth maybe $11,000. That's fire in the middle of the living room. But 2 years later, Sam took out a loan for an online certification in product management. Cost him $6,000. Within 8 months, he leveraged that certification into a new role, paying $18,000 more per year. That's fire in the fireplace. Same element. Completely different outcome. And the difference wasn't luck, it was understanding what debt is actually for. Okay, so if that was surprising, wait until you hear this. Lesson 6 is one of the most controversial chapters in the entire book. Should you rent or should you buy a home? Every family gathering, every dinner party, every conversation with your parents eventually circles back to this one question. And the cultural pressure to buy is enormous. Renting is throwing money away. Now that's what everyone says. Your landlord is getting rich off you. You're building someone else's dream. But Maggiulli disagrees. And he's got the numbers to prove it. When you buy a home, you don't just pay the mortgage. You pay property taxes every single year. Homeowners insurance, every single year. Maintenance. And not small maintenance. We're talking about roofs, HVAC systems, plumbing emergencies, foundation repairs. The average homeowner spends 1% to 2% of their home's value on maintenance every single year. On a $400,000 house, that's $4,000 to $8,000, just to keep the building from falling apart. Nobody mentions that at Thanksgiving dinner. Sam felt the pressure too. His parents asked him every single holiday when he was going to stop wasting money on rent. His coworkers who bought houses talked about equity like it was a magic piggy bank that only went up. So Sam did what Maggiulli recommends. He actually ran the numbers. He compared the total cost of buying a $350,000 home in his city versus renting a comparable apartment. Mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, maintenance, closing costs, and the opportunity cost of his down payment sitting trapped in a house instead of growing in the market. And when he added it all up, renting was saving him over $800 a month. Not because renting is always better, but because in his situation, with his numbers, in his city, buying would have been a financial anchor disguised as the American dream. Here's the crazy part. Maggiulli isn't anti-homeownership. He just argues that it should be a math decision, not an emotional one. Not a cultural one. Not a, this is what responsible adults do, one. Run your numbers. If buying wins, buy. If renting wins, rent. And ignore anyone who makes you feel bad about the result. Now, this next part is what really changed how I think about big purchases. Lesson 7 is about saving for a down payment. And it sounds boring, but the strategy behind it is genuinely brilliant. Most people who want to buy a house someday just throw extra money into a savings account and hope for the best. No strategy. No timeline analysis. Just blind accumulation. Maggiulli says that's a terrible plan. The timeline matters more than almost anything else. If you're buying in 1 to 2 years, your money should be in something extremely safe. High-yield savings accounts, short-term treasury bills, maybe a money market fund. You cannot afford volatility when the clock is that short. But if your timeline is 5 years or more, you should be investing a portion of that money in the market because the expected returns over that period historically outweigh the risk of a temporary dip. Think of it like packing for a trip. If you're leaving tomorrow, you grab what's in front of you, a clean socks, a jacket, whatever works. No time to optimize. But if your trip is 6 months away, you can plan, you can research, you can find the perfect gear at the best prices. Your timeline gives you options that short-term panic doesn't allow. Sam wanted to buy a home in 5 years. He had $12,000 saved. Instead of parking all of it in a savings account earning 4%, he split it strategically. $7,000 went into a broad index fund. $5,000 stayed in a high-yield savings account as a safety net. Over the next 4 years, the invested portion grew to almost $11,000, while the savings portion barely budged past $5,300. Same starting point, same person, different strategy, dramatically different result. And that brings us to lesson 8, and this might be the most important one for anyone thinking seriously about their long-term future. When can you actually retire? Maggiulli introduces the concept of the crossover point. This is the exact moment when your investment income exceeds your living expenses. When the money your money makes is more than the money you need to survive. That's financial independence, not some arbitrary number like $1 million or $2 million, because those numbers mean completely different things depending on where you live, how you spend, and what your life actually looks like on a Tuesday afternoon. The crossover point is personal, it's mathematical, and it's reachable far sooner than most people think. If they follow the principles from the earlier chapters, earn more instead of cutting more, save the difference without torturing yourself, invest consistently using the 2x rule and the 50% raise strategy. Don't let guilt or cultural pressure dictate your financial decisions. Do that long enough, and the line crosses. Your assets start paying your bills. Your time becomes truly, genuinely, completely yours. Sam ran the calculation one night after reading this chapter. He plugged in his income, his savings rate, his expected market returns, and his monthly expenses. The number that came back shocked him, not because it was impossibly far away, but because it was closer than he thought. 18 years, not 40, not when I'm 67 and barely functional. 18 years from right now, if he kept his current trajectory, he'd be free. He stared at his screen for a long time, not with excitement exactly, with something quieter, something like clarity. For the first time in years, his financial life wasn't a source of constant grinding anxiety. It was a map with a destination and a timeline. If you only remember one thing from this video, make it this next part, because Lesson 9 ties everything together in class, and it's the core thesis of the entire book. Just keep buying, that's it. That's the message. Not buy when the market dips. Not wait for the perfect entry point. Not time the bottom and ride the wave. Just keep buying. Maggiulli runs one of the most fascinating simulations in modern personal finance writing. He creates what he calls the God portfolio, a hypothetical investor who can literally see the future. This investor knows the exact bottom of every single market crash from 1920 to 2020. Perfect timing, omniscient buying, zero mistakes. And the result? This godlike investor barely outperforms someone who just buys index funds on the same day every single month. Barely. The difference is almost negligible. Let that sink in for a second. Why? Because the cost of sitting in cash while waiting for the crash, what Maggiulli calls cash drag, destroys most of the advantage. While you're sitting on the sidelines with your money in a checking account, waiting for prices to drop, the market is climbing. And the growth between crashes is almost always much larger than the crash itself. Sam had $40,000 sitting in a checking account for 3 years. 3 years. He was convinced a crash was coming. The news said so, the Reddit thread said so, his gut said so, every podcast he listened to said so. He was waiting for the perfect moment to go all in. Meanwhile, the market climbed 38%. His $40,000 could have been $55,000. Instead, it just sat there, slowly being eaten alive by inflation, losing purchasing power every single month. When he finally ran the numbers on what his fear had cost him, not theoretically, not hypothetically, but in actual missed gains, he felt sick to his stomach. $15,000. Gone. Not because he lost money in a crash, because he was too scared to invest it in the first place. That's the real cost of timing the market. It's not the crash that ruins you, it's the waiting. Here are 5 things you can start doing right now based on what we just covered. First, stop agonizing over your latte budget and redirect that mental energy towards your income. Spend 30 minutes this week looking at your earning potential. Is there a skill you could learn, a certification you could earn, a conversation with your boss you've been avoiding about a raise? One income jump will outpace years of expense cutting. Focus your energy where the math actually rewards you. Second, try the 2x rule on your next non-essential purchase. Want new headphones for $200? Buy them. But set up an automatic transfer for $200 into an investment account that same day. You'll buy the thing and grow your wealth simultaneously. No guilt. No agonizing negotiation with yourself at 2 a.m. Just balance. Third, If you've gotten a raise recently, apply the 50% rule immediately. Take half the increase and set up an automatic investment transfer before you get used to the extra money. Take the other half and actually enjoy it. Upgrade something in your life that brings you genuine happiness. A better mattress, a gym membership, a neighborhood you love waking up in. You earned it, and the math says it's perfectly fine. Fourth, if you're sitting on a large amount of cash because you're waiting for the right time to invest, stop waiting. The data says the right time is now. Set up automatic weekly or monthly purchases into a broad index fund. You don't need to invest it all at once. Dollar cost averaging works beautifully. But you do need to start. Every month you wait, inflation and missed growth are quietly stealing from you. Fifth, run your own crossover point calculation tonight. Add up your monthly expenses. Look at your current investment balance and realistic growth rate. Ask yourself, when does my investment income surpass my living costs? Knowing that number changes everything. It turns a vague dream of someday I'll be financially free into a concrete, dateable, circled on the calendar milestone. That's not wishful thinking. That's a plan with a deadline. In the next video, we'll cover the investing side of the book, where Maggiulli tackles what to buy, when to sell, and why the biggest risk in your portfolio isn't the stock market, it's you. That's part 2, and honestly, it gets even more eye-opening than this one. That's it for this video. I hope it was useful and gave you something real to think about. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.